Alright guys, so welcome back to another video, and in this video we're gonna create navigation tabs using HTML, CSS and vanilla JavaScript. So this is the final project we want to create today, and as you can see in here we have the navigation with the icon and the text navigation as well, and the content in here. So if I click the occupation tab, as you can see the content should be come from the left side, and for the navigation icon, I'm using icon from flaticon.com. I'm going to show you how I found this icon, which is birthday cake. So let's just search for. So let's try to scroll down where I'm using. This is the icon I'm using, by the way. You can click and download as a SVG in here. Okay, so you can use any icon you like, doesn't matter. And for the illustration in here, I am using illustration from Andro. I'm just search for birthday, and this I'm using for the age in here. Okay, so let's try to just close this. And I have opened my project in VS Code. As you can see in here, we have folder called SVG, and this is the illustration. So let's create index.html. And let's try to generate HTML boilerplates and change the title to what I want to call this. Just say cool tabs. Let's wrap the content inside a container. Container is basically the white background in here. So let's create navigation. So navigation tab. And we're going to create div in here with the class tab. And let's create a button with the class, just say tab links and egg. Alright, so let's create button wrap class. And inside in here, we're gonna bring in the icon. So I have already put my icon in here. This is for age, occupation, and so on, so on. So let's copy the age SVG, and I'm going to put in here. So for the text, you're gonna use H4 to say egg. Okay, so now let's copy the button, and we're gonna using Alt, Shift, and arrow down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, because we have 5 navigation in here. Okay, so let's try to remove the SVG in here. We need to use this SVG, so copy that and paste in here. And for the text, we are gonna change that to occupation and change the class in here to occupation as well. So let's cut the SVG, and the text, it should be not car, what is I'm using, types of car. So it should be types of car, and just change the class to car, and the SVG, it should be this thing right here. Just copy and paste in here. Alright, so now this is for the maps. Alright, so let's change the class to maps, remove the SVG, and the text, it should be where you live, and the icon should be this icon. So let's copy that and paste in here. So finally, this is the last. So this should be a portfolio, and we're gonna remove the SVG, and the text, it should be driving history, and let's bring in the SVG, cut that out, just paste in here. Here we go. Let's try to save, and I'm using extension which is live server, so let's click the go live in here, and this is what we have. All right, so pretty cool. Let's create the content now. So under div in here, just make that look like this, make that comment. It should be the tabs content. You're gonna create, wait, div with the class tab content, and should be the egg content. So let's create tab content wrap, because in tab content wrap you're gonna implement display flags to make the final projects look like this. Okay, so in here we are gonna create the tab content description. It should be the text. Let's using h5 and egg, and paragraph, it should be lorem, just say 30. We're gonna create the div again with the class tab content -img, and inside in here should be img. You can put your SVG in here, but I like to just using image tag, and just looking for SVG, and should be birthday.svg. Let's copy everything in here, and just Alt Shift arrow down, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we are going to just change this egg to occupation, and change the h5 to, wait, occupation, and SVG, it should be occupation. So scroll down again and change this to car content, and just say h5 to types of car, and image, it should be the, where is that, type car. Scroll down again, just change this to maps content, and we're gonna change the h5 to where you live, and SVG, it should be the maps, and finally this is the last for the content, it should be the portfolio content, and let's change the h5 to driving history, and SVG, it should be the portfolio. Wait, no, I think driving history. So let's save that and see. Here we go. We have egg text image, occupation text image, type of car text image, where you live text image, and driving history. Yeah, everything is cool now. So let's back to the code. We are gonna create the style.css file. So let's do that, style.css. And in the index.html, let's bring in let's open the link tag. and you should be looking for style.css. Okay, so let's simple reset margin and padding. Margin 0, padding 0, and the box sizing, let's set that to border box. Alright, so for the body, we're gonna using no font. We're gonna using Arial Helvetica sans serif family. Here we go. And for the line height, should be 1.6. Let's do the background to 75E 9F7. Okay, try to save and let's take a look. Here we go. And we're gonna grab the image and width to give a width to 100%. Okay, so let's grab the container and we are going to give a maximal width to 50 RAM. Wait, what happened? 50 RAM, and make that center. So margin, I want to give a margin top and bottom to 5 RAM and left and right to auto to make that center. So save, and here we go. And we're gonna create the background to white. And here we go. So let's styling the navigation tab. Just say tab button. And we're gonna grab the tab. Gonna say display grid in here. Say grid template columns. Gonna using repeat and say 5. Gonna create 5 column by the way. So let's see, we have a 5 column now. Okay, so far so good. And for the row, we're gonna use grid auto row. It should be 7 RAM. Okay, so let's change the width of the icon. So we can use button wrap, and I'm gonna grab the SVG in here. Say SVG, and we are gonna say width to 30%. Here we go. So let's change the color, and in SVG you cannot change the color by using color property. It's not gonna work because it's SVG. What you need to do is just give a fill. So now it's work. But the color I'm using is B6 to EC4. Save, and here we go. So let's styling the button. Can grab that, and I want to just make that look like this so we can see both of the text and the final project. So grab the tab button, give a background to FR, and we're gonna say border none width. Say cursor to pointer. Say outline, say none, and give a transition because we are gonna using hover. So transition, just say all 0.5 second and is. Okay, so let's create the tab button hover. And if I hover that, I want to change the background to white. Okay, save, and let's see. Okay, the background is changing. Cool, pretty cool. So let's styling the H4, which is the text, let's do in here button wrap h4, and we're gonna say margin top to 0.5 rem, and color, let's make that 333, and give a opacity to 0.6, and transition, because we are gonna implement hover again in here, say all 0.5 second and is okay. Cool. So when I hover that, I want to change the opacity, the h4 opacity. So let's do button wrap h4 hover opacity to 1. Save, and it's not work. Oh yeah, save, and here we go. Yeah, I think we're done with the navigation. So let's styling the content under in here. So let's scroll down. Let's do tab content. So let's grab the tab content wrap, because we are going to implement display grid in here. Okay, every content have tab content wrap class, so we can grab that in here. Say tab content dash wrap. We need to say display to flex, and align item center, and weights center, and justify content, say space between, save, and here we go. And let's give a padding, just say padding to just say 4 rem or something. Let's make the title a little bigger, so we can do tab content description and h5. Let's change the color to this color, and change the font size. We're gonna change that to 1.6 rem, and just give a margin bottom, just say 0.5 rem, and here we go. So let's change the paragraph color, and we can do tab content description paragraph. We can say color to 333, and change the opacity as well to 0.6, and here we go. As you can see in here, we have a wrong icon. It should be the portfolio. Let's see. Let's change the icon to portfolio. The driving history, where is that? In here, we're going to cut that out and paste in here. So try to save, and now it should be the portfolio. As you can see in here, we have something wrong. When I hover that, the text is not changing the color, the opacity, you know. What the problem in here? Just see. It should be hover the button and change the opacity in the h4. Yeah, here we go. Cool. Everything is pretty cool now. So let's make that bigger. Yeah. All right, so I think we're done with the styling. So let's see in a mobile version. I'm going to change a little bit. Let's open the media screen in here. Say media, screen and maximal width to say 600 pixel. Just try to make sure it's work. We can do background to red, save, and okay, it's work. What we need to do in here is grab the navigation, which is the tab class. We need to say grid template column to one fraction, and we need to just hide the SVG. We can do SVG, let's say display to none. Here we go. And what we need to do next, just change the column, the row. I mean, say grid auto row. What I want to do, just say for RAM. Here we go. And content, we need to grab the tab content wrap and just say flex direction to column. Save, and here we go. Just give a margin top for the image. We can do tab content img and give a margin desktop to just say 1 rem. Okay, I think that's it. So let's working with JavaScript now, but before that I just want to make the content set the display to none. That's by default, by the way. So let's go to the tab content. We can grab the tab content and just say display to none. Okay, so now it's gone. Let's just close this, and we're gonna create main.js, and just make sure you're connected with your HTML under in, where's that? Under in here. Okay, open a script tag, and should be looking for main.js. So let's open the main.js. We need to open the console in the browser. I want to put the console to down in here. Okay, and here we go. So the first we are going to do is we are going to get all the button in the navigation. So just say get all button navigation, and we can do create a variable called tab buttons, and we are going to grab that using document dot query selector all, and we're going to grab the class with the name tab links. So if I console that, we should see not tab links, tab button. We should see not list now in the console. All right, so in here, just make that comment again. I want to add even listener for single button. So for every single button, I want to add even listener. So we are gonna using for each in here. Wait, so let's do tab buttons dot for each, and single button. What we need to do is we need to say button dot add even listener, and we're gonna looking for click event, and when I click that, I want to just console.log button clicked. Okay, so now save, and when I click that, for every single navigation, No, don't get anything. Really? Sorry about that, what I'm doing in here. Here we go. So now save and let's try to click. We have a button, click it. Okay, cool. What we need to do in here, I want to show you. We are gonna console log the button and class list. So when I click this, now as you can see in here, we have tab links class and age. When I click the occupation, we have tab links and occupation. We are gonna grab the second value in this array. Okay, we can do that by using 1 to grab the second value. So let's try to save that. Now when I hit age, we have age, occupation, car, maps, and where's my portfolio? Portfolio. Cool. Pretty awesome. So let's create a variable in here called content class, set that equals to button.classList and 1, and we are gonna add content in here. The idea in here is basically we are gonna grab this class occupation and we are gonna add content, age content, car content, and portfolio content, and maps content as well. So let's go back in here. We need to grab everything in here using backtick, and we are going to like that. Okay, so now if I console.log content class, just to content class, we are going to, when I click the age, we are going to get a content, occupation content, car content. Okay, everything's worked just fine. So in here we need to grab the class. We are going to using document.querySelector, and the name class, it should be backtick dot and should be the content class. All right, we are going to change the style, which is the display. Wait, style, which is the display. Change that to block. Okay, so save that. I want to when I click the H, it should be coming up, right? If I want to make that bigger, but when I click the occupation, it's still in here. Okay, but occupation should showing in down here. So we need to hide this H. Okay, how do we do that? So let's go back to in here. So let's make that bigger. So I want to get all content. We can do let tab contents. So that equals to document.query selector all, and we are going to grab the tab content. Okay, so in here we're going to create the function, and should be hide content function. So cons hide content, set that equals to arrow function, and we are going to grab the tab contents and dot for each, and for every single content we need to do is just content dot style dot display, set it to none. Okay, we need to run this function, which is hide content function, for every time we click the button. So we need to put in here. Bam. So now let's try to save that. And when I click H, should be H, occupation. Does not work. It should be class in here, so we need to say dot save, and let's try that again. Age, occupation, car, maps, and portfolio. Cool, everything's worked. So as you can see in here, when the first time the page loading, it's nothing showing in here. So we need to say in here, let's say window dot unload, and we are going to grab the get element by ID. It should be the default open, and we are going to say default open dot style dot display, set it to block. So now let's create the default open ID. Let's go back in H. Where's my H? Here we can do ID, not in there, but in here, ID. There we go. So now save. Now we get H. Every time we reload the browser, we get an H. Okay, so pretty awesome. So now we need to add some animation. So let's go back. We're gonna create keyframes in here. Say keyframes. Just say fade effect. We're gonna change the opacity to 0, and translate X, let's set to -200 pixel, and it should be to opacity 1. So let's go in the tab content. We can do animation. Just use the fade effect animation. And just say 1 second. All right, so let's try to save that. Now we get the animation. But as you can see in here, the content is still visible outside the container. So how do we fix that? It's so pretty easy. In the container, we need to say overflow hidden. So let's go back to container, say overflow hidden, and save. Here we go. You know what? We need to add the border radius. So let's do in here, say border radius. Just say 5 pixel. Save, and now we get a border in here. All right, so I think we're done with this project, and I hope you will like and enjoy it. And yeah, I'm gonna see you in the next video. And as always, bye.